because it takes some time for some people to get on. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit at the very beginning for those people that are watching this later, not from home, but from, well, probably from home, but watching it either on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook video and watching this video later. It gives a chance for people to kind of hop on to the video so I don't get too ahead of myself too fast. So start by just saying welcome. I speak mostly to people who are trying to quit smoking, or those are the ones that are most interested in my videos, because the content that I create is all about helping people to quit smoking. Typically, when I do these things, today's subject is methods to quit smoking and the science behind the effectiveness of those methods. And also, the real key to today is what's the best method that one should use to quit smoking. The answer is going to surprise you, so stay to the end. Most of my videos, I don't talk about my particular program because I try to make these videos, the intention is to help people quit smoking, not for me to sell what I do. What I do is already very successful. I have a full practice. I actually don't even take everyone who comes. I take the people that I can best help. So most of my videos don't have anything about my program. Today, I am going to talk about my program just a little bit because I get so many questions after the fact about my program. So I'm just going to mention it a little bit right at the end. And I'm not going to compare my program to the other quit smoking methods because this isn't about me or my program. This is about quitting smoking. Okay? So today's topic is all about the best methods to quit smoking, the science behind it, and I'm going to reveal at the end what is the actual best method to quit smoking, and it will absolutely surprise everyone. Okay, so just before I start, for those people that are watching this video later, the best thing to do is, if you're interested in more information from me, because I'm not going to give much information in this video, is to just book yourself into one of my free 30-minute phone consultations. I'll put it in the show notes. You can click on it. I've opened it up because most people have a hard time getting into it because I've only got so much time on my hands. I can only do so many. So I've opened it up. So for the next couple of weeks, you should be able to get into those. Okay, so let's just jump right into the topic of the best quit smoking methods. I'm going to try and keep today's video down to about 20 minutes because my videos tend to be long because I try to pack as much information as I can in. So we're going to go through this really quickly. So we're going to jump right in. Quit smoking methods. There are many. Okay, to make this readable and easy, I've had to kind of clump some of them together. And there's good reason to clump them together as well, because they're really the same thing, and they're what we call their efficacy rates are various, but very similar. So they're only off by a percent or two. So I've put them into the same thing. So we're going to start off by, I'm just going to show them to you. Don't worry about the percentages, and don't even worry about if a particular method that you like is a low percentage, because I'm going to turn this on its head and surprise a lot of you. Okay, so these are try and get that light out of the way for you here. Let's see, how do I position it? There we go. These are the general quit smoking methods, okay? Hypnotherapy, drugs, the two popular, Chantix and Zyban, behavioral therapy, NTR just means nicotine replacement therapy, placebo, because when you do science, you have to compare everything to placebo, books, apps, and cold turkey. If you've seen cold turkey down there at the bottom and cold turkey is your method, don't worry about it. I'm going to give a really good defense of the cold turkey method. Okay, so before we go into each one of those in particular, here's what you have to know about those percentages. You can Google percentages of any of these methods. You're going to find all sorts of different numbers, and they're kind of going to be all over the place. Okay, that's natural in science because people do different studies, they ask different questions, they have different methods and models, and so you end up with different percentages. Also, you get research that's done that's being funded by a pharmaceutical company, or it's being funded by something with a bias. So it's really hard to get accurate numbers on any of these things. So what we do in, for example, in neuroscience to try and get a really good understanding of what the percentages really are is we don't look at a single study. Okay. We look at a whole bunch of studies and then we average the studies out. Okay. And so the numbers I'm giving you are the average across a body of studies. Okay. So for example, if you see Chantix and I have it at 22%, but you find a study that says it's at 28, somebody else finds a study where it's at 12. It's not that any of them are wrong. It's just that this the nature of how studies are done. We get different answers depending upon how the question's asked, how the study is formed. So when we talk about percentages of effective rate, what we're looking for is not a consensus, but all of the studies averaged out across a large body of studies. That's what we're looking for. And we call that success rate, really technically it's called an efficacy rate. Okay, so these numbers that I'm showing you are that averaged out across the studies. So if you go and Google it and you find a different number, the reason why your number is different than mine is I'm taking the average across all of the known studies, and this can all be done basically through Google Scholar. You can look at all the studies and even do the averages yourself. You don't have to rely upon a study that is doing the averages, because academically, some papers, that's exactly what they're doing. They're not doing any study in particular. They're just looking at all the studies and doing the average for us. That's where these numbers come from. Okay, so let's jump into it. We're going to go through each model and method, and then at the end, at the very end, I'll talk a little bit about my model and method, okay? So, the first one, quit smoking method, is hypnotherapy, okay? So, what is hypnotherapy? It's essentially a practitioner of hypnosis using a model of the mind to change your unconscious mind to help you quit smoking and not have cravings. That's hypnotherapy. It has a 60% success rate. You'll see I post studies on my Facebook page that say it's 88. You'll find studies online that say it's 40. Again, the 60 is the average across all studies. Okay, it is the most successful quit smoking method. Okay, number 2 is drugs. Okay, Chantix 22% on average, Zyban 16. So let's talk about the drug. So it is very effective at curbing cravings, and that's one of its most successful things. The reason why more people don't take it, or a lot of people, in fact, half of all people that take it stop because of its side effects. It gives people bad dreams. It gives people anxiety, suicidal thoughts. It has a ton of side effects. But here's the thing. Only half of people report any side effect at all. So half of people that take the drug have no side effects, and it works super well for them. Okay. So its effective rate, or its efficacy rate, is 22%. Okay. I put in Zyban in there because they're actually different drugs and they work differently. And some people prefer one or the other. Some people use Zyban because it doesn't affect them the way that the Chantix does. Okay. The third is behavioral therapy. This is essentially counseling. Okay. So there are counselors that counsel people on behavioral therapy. Behavioral therapists, what they're really doing is using therapy to go through the emotional reasons of why people smoke. So, for example, it could be that a woman or a guy has a particular connection to their father, and the only time they ever really talk with their father, do anything meaningful, is when they smoke. Their father dies, and they keep smoking, and they have this emotional connection between them and their father, and so giving up smoking is like giving up their relationship with their father. And so behavioral therapy deals with it from that angle. Okay, that's just one angle, but that's what behavioral therapy does in regards to quitting smoking or smoking cessation. Okay. NRTs, nicotine replacement therapies, they're all very close in their efficacy rates. So this is the gum, the patch, the vape. It's essentially, the idea is that nicotine's a drug, okay, which we actually know is not. It is a drug, but we know that's not the main reason why people smoke. A subject for another one. But the idea is you treat it like it's a drug. So you take less and less nicotine and less, and you just weed yourself off it eventually, okay? It has about a 14% efficacy rate or success rate, okay? Placebo is 12%. So again, we always got to compare to placebo. Placebo means we give people a sugar pill and we tell them this is a magic pill that's going to get you to stop smoking. Okay, that's what placebo means. Books, there are a couple of well-known books. People that read those books, based on independent studies, has on average about an 8% success rate. Apps, there's a lot of apps out there about tracking cigarettes, 7%. Okay, cold turkey means just quitting cold turkey, just stopping with no other help, has about a 6% rate. And on average, person who quits with cold turkey will attempt 30 times before success. Again, I'm going to make a defense of cold turkey soon, so don't get discouraged because it's so low. Okay, a couple of really obvious things here to consider, okay, when you look at these efficacy rates. One is anything that is close to placebo, you have to ask yourself the question, is it working because it's working, or is it working because of the placebo effect? Nicotine replacement therapies, it's 14%, placebo's 12%. How much of that 14% is just placebo? Okay, we actually don't know. My guess is basically what's working is the placebo effect. Okay, behavioral therapy, same thing. Okay, the drugs, it's a far enough difference that clearly the drugs work. Okay, so really what you're looking at then in terms of things that we know are not placebo, okay, so they have to be higher than placebo, are the drugs and the hypnotherapy. Okay, and we have to understand why is it they are working. Okay, and what's different about them, because it's clearly more than placebo. Okay, the other ones are just placebo. Okay, so let's start with Chantix and Zyban. Okay, what's actually happening with the drug is it's essentially inhibiting the pleasure sensor in your brain. Okay, and because when we smoke nicotine, one of the things it does is it triggers our pleasure sensor, and so that we want to have pleasure, and so when we don't have pleasure because we quit smoking, we want pleasure, and so that induces the craving. Okay, what the drug does is it inhibits that neurochemical reaction, thereby you don't have the craving. So it's far enough above placebo, we believe it actually does do what it claims it does. Okay, why does hypnotherapy have such a high success rate? Because we know that smoking is really a habit and it's not really an addiction. Okay, if you've watched my previous videos, I go into great detail about exactly why it's not an addiction, why it's really a habit. I'll just sort of summarize really quickly. You can go back and watch that previous video. Okay, the reason why essentially is that it's a habit is what happens is most people who start smoking start before the age of 27. Okay, try and find somebody that started smoking after 27. If you do, they did smoke before and quit and they've started again. But try and find somebody who's never smoked a day in their life and picked up smoking after the age of 27. It's like trying to find a unicorn. Okay, there's a good reason why. Because what happens is by the time we hit age 27, our brain has developed enough that we're able to regulate emotion, and we're able to regulate essentially our mind. Before 27, we're not as good at regulating our unconscious mind because we don't want to. It has an evolutionary advantage to not be able to. Okay, and that's because it helps with learning. The more information that gets into our head, the more we can learn. But when we get older, the problem with that is one of the things that's in our unconscious mind is our emotions. And to be socially successful, we need to be able to regulate emotion. So we start with a very weak critical faculty. It's the critical faculty that regulates emotion and all of these things. We want it to kick in, and it kicks in hard around 27. So if you're smoking before the age of 27, right, and 20 cigarettes a day on average, you're taking 10 or 20 puffs, 200 to 400 times a day, you're going to smoke. Most people smoke because they feel good at some level, whether it's to rebel, whether it's to fit in, to be cool, everyone else is doing it. It's essentially smoke, feel good. So, 200, 400 times a day, you're going to smoke, feel good, smoke, feel good. you have an undeveloped critical faculty that gets into our unconscious mind. We tell our unconscious mind, smoke, feel good. We hit 27, walls off our unconscious mind. Now we're 35 and we want to quit. And what's in our unconscious mind is we've essentially hypnotized ourselves into smoke, feel good. We don't want to smoke anymore. Our mind goes, our conscious mind goes, I don't want to smoke. The unconscious mind thinks, no, smoke, feel good. We want to stop. But what happens is we get triggered, we get stressed, something happens. We seek pleasure. The conscious mind goes, I shouldn't smoke. The unconscious mind goes, screw you, smoke, feel good. And you get overpowered because our unconscious mind is more powerful than our conscious mind. That's the summary of it. There's a video I posted earlier. It's on my YouTube page. It's like an hour in length, all about exactly how that works in our brain, okay? The reason why hypnotherapy is so successful is it deals with the unconscious mind. It changes the unconscious thought pattern of smoke, feel good to smoke, don't feel good. So when you do get triggered and your conscious mind goes, I don't want to smoke, you're not fighting your unconscious mind that says, no, smoke, feel good. That's why it has such a high success rate. Essentially, I'm really simplifying this just so that we compare the different models, okay? So that's why hypnotherapy is so successful, and that's why the drugs help curb the cravings, okay? So now to the important points here, which are essentially cold turkey, I want to talk about, and what is the best way or the best method to quit smoking, okay? Because my answer is not based on the percentages, okay? It's based on, I've helped over 5,000 people quit smoking for life, and it's based on my experience, backed by the numbers, okay? But first, I want to talk about cold turkey. So the first thing I want to say about in defense of cold turkey, which is at 6%, is this. All these methods, let me get that light off of there for you. All of these methods, okay? Whether it's hypnotherapy, the drugs, the behavior therapy, which is counseling, nicotine replacement therapies, or reading books or apps, whatever it is, whatever method somebody uses to quit smoking, they're all cold turkey as well. You cannot quit smoking unless you just stop. You have to stop smoking. It's the only way, right? Watch my video on my YouTube page about how to motivate yourself to quit smoking. It's essentially it. You have to just stop. That's cold turkey. So if you're doing hypnotherapy as a model, you still have to stop. You're still doing cold turkey. You're doing cold turkey and hypnotherapy. If you take Chantix, guess what? You still have to stop. That's cold turkey. You're just doing cold turkey and Chantix. No matter what method you're using, cold turkey is a part of every method, because all cold turkey is to just quit smoking. Essentially, there are descriptions of it as well, to quit smoking without any help. Yeah, that's true. But anyone who does any other method, they're doing it in conjunction with cold turkey. What the difference is really when you take one type of quit smoking and you use it with another kind of quit smoking method, okay, what you're really doing is you're using two methods at the same time. So cold turkey is the only method that only uses a single method. Every other method uses cold turkey with the method. So I'm in no way, shape, or form knocking cold turkey. Cold turkey is the only way to quit, no matter what you're using. You're just, whatever method you're using in conjunction with cold turkey. Okay, that's my defense of cold turkey. Two last things. I don't want this video to go too long. Okay, two last things. One is that I wanted to talk specifically about was the best method to quit smoking. Okay, here's the answer. The answer is the method that works best for you. Okay, and here's why I say that and why this is so important. Okay. Even though hypnotherapy is 60%, a lot of people quit using all these other methods. And at the end of the day, quitting is all that matters. That's it. How you got there, what model you use, what method you use is not relevant. The best method is the one that works for you. Okay, in my last video about how to motivate yourself, I gave the whole talk about that it's really about action and doing something. they're all the path to the summit, every one of them. And the best method is the one that you can do or that fits for you. So really my advice is that when you're choosing a method, right, is to not pick the one that has the highest percentage, to pick the one that you feel or have an affinity, your instincts. Follow your instincts. Trust your own thinking. It's good thinking. Don't trust my thinking. Don't trust somebody else's thinking. I'm just giving information. Take that information in. Listen to your body. Listen to your guttural instinct and go and do something and follow that. That will more than likely be the answer to what is the best method for you. Okay? So that's the key. And my advice is you don't have to do one. It's just like cold turkey is used with any method. Okay? People do hypnotherapy and they do Chantix to help with the craving, especially if they can take Chantix without the side effect. And half people can, right? Why use one? Why not use two? Okay, the main reason why people don't is cost. Okay, so use whatever method feels right for you. Okay, use more than one. Combine them. Whatever it takes to get you to the summit of the mountain, to get you to quit smoking. Okay, that's the best method. The percentages aren't about what's the best method. The percentages or the efficacy of these different models aren't about a competition. It's just the science behind what tends to work. But we're not all square pegs in square holes. Some of us are round. So if hypnotherapy or Chantix doesn't work for you, but the app does, who cares? It has 7% efficacy rate. You know what matters? You quit smoking. That's what matters. That's what really matters. Okay. So that's my best advice. Now, because I get so many questions after the fact, I will tell you just a tiny bit about my program. Most of these I do not like to talk a lot about it because it's not really what this is about. It's about quitting smoking. But I get so many questions, so many people asking me to tell a little bit about it. I'll tell you about my method. My method that I use isn't a single method, because one of the things I've learned just with these efficacy rates is to have a very high success rate, you can't use one method. And the reason why that is hypnotherapy deals with the unconscious mind. Okay, you are more than your unconscious mind. So I don't do just hypnotherapy. Okay, my model has 3 components to it. Okay, those components are neurolinguistic programming, NLP, which is essentially for the conscious mind, right? So it's all about getting us to consciously understand in our conscious mind all about our relationship with smoking and quitting smoking and how smoking on the brain works. My program, a full half of it, is all about the conscious mind and changing and moving the conscious mind and laying the seeds and the groundwork for success. It's really about the art of positive momentum. The second piece of my program uses something called EFT, sometimes called tapping. It's a very short section in the middle of my program, which really has to do with how we create an identity as a smoker. Okay, and I'll just tell you a little bit about that, because this is really good information. What happens is when we smoke and we perceive it to be a problem, we create an identity, and I'll explain how that works. Okay, we create identities all the time. This is what psychiatrists use in parts therapy. Okay, which is we basically energetically and neurologically, because our system runs on our neurology. Okay, in other words, the neurons in our brain operate the entire system. If somebody tickles your foot, it sends a neuron to your brain. That's an electrical signal. That's how our entire system functions, and that's how our entire brain functions on neurological activity. Okay, what happens is we create different electrical identities depending upon usually how we're feeling. Okay, so if we're happy, we're sad, we're angry, our neurology realigns itself. It's why when you're sitting beside somebody angry right? You can sense it, you can feel it, the expression. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife, okay? So what we know about how we create these different electrical identities depending upon our personal space or mood is that we do know that when we perceive something as an issue or a problem, we essentially enhance or intensify our electrical energy. That's why it's easier to know when you're sitting beside somebody who's angry than when you're sitting beside somebody who's in a loving space. We sense it more because what's actually happening is when we perceive something as a problem, right, we increase our vibration, our electrical energy. Okay, so here you are, you're a smoker. If you don't perceive it as a problem, that's one kind of identity we create. But as soon as we look at our smoking and think of it as a problem, we know that when we think of things as problems, we accentuate or amplify our neurological energy. Okay, so what in my program, what we do to address that is we deal with it directly. We use EFT or tapping to identify the problem of smoking, how we create an identity, okay, and then we clear it from the system. Okay, so one of the things I did when I first discovered EFT about 5 years ago, I've only been using it in my personal model for about 5 years, is I brought in 176 people, 176, 174, I'm not sure, people, and all I did was the EFT and I didn't do the neurolinguistic programming or the hypnotherapy. And 5 years later, 75% of those people are still smoke free. So I knew it worked. So then what I did is I was in my program, I was at that time just doing the neurolinguistic programming and the hypnotherapy. So the conscious mind, the unconscious mind. And I was getting about an 80% success rate. Then what happened was I put the EFT in, my success rate went up to 95%. And when it did, that's when I started to offer a lifetime guarantee. So in my program, and again, I do it myself. So I only take about half the people that apply for the program because I only have so many time in a day. And so I take about 20 people a week. So what I do is we do the neurolinguistic programming, we do the EFT, and then we do the hypnosis. So we're doing the conscious mind, how we create identities as a smoker, and we clear that, and then we do the hypnosis. And the reason why I do it that way is, and I do a multi-pronged approach, is we're a whole person. When I only do hypnotherapy like everyone else, I was just getting the same 60% success rate because I was only dealing with the unconscious mind. Well, we're more than our unconscious mind. That's only a part of us. And we only have one mind, by the way. We don't have all these different parts. We have one mind. So we need to deal with the different aspects of smoking. Our unconscious thought patterns, which is the biggest chunk, okay? Our conscious mind and how it holds it. And then how we create an identity as a smoker and how we hold it as a problem. We have to deal with that too. So then all we're doing is we're dealing with ourselves as a whole person. So if you have any questions, just book yourself into that 30 minute free phone consultation. It's usually full, but it's been so popular that I've really opened it up. I'm going to make more time available for more people. So if you're watching this from home later, you might still be able to book yourself into one of those. My guess is it will probably for about a week before it will fill up. And so just to recap, today's subject was what is the best method to quit smoking? Okay, we went through them. We went through their efficacy rates. We talked about that you're going to find different numbers out there on the internet, that the numbers that I'm using aren't from a particular study, but what we do in science is we take all the studies and we come up with an average. That's why if you see I have, say, for example, behavioral therapy at 16%, you'll find studies that say 22, you'll find studies that say 12. We're looking for an average across a body of scientific work. That's what these numbers are, okay? The other thing we now know is cold turkey is the only method because all these methods use cold turkey. Okay, you can do cold turkey and not use another method, but if you combine cold turkey with the app or a book or the gum or the patch, it will increase the success rate. And all of these methods use cold turkey because it's the only way to quit is cold turkey, actually. So don't worry about the percentages. The question the interesting question scientifically is, if placebo is 12 and the gum, the patch, and the vape is 14%, what's actually working? Is it the placebo? Is it not the placebo? We actually don't know. Okay. But the answer to the question of what is the best method isn't based on the percentages. That's not the best method for you. It has nothing to do with the percentages. The best method for you is the one that works. The way that you figure out the one that works is you take the information in. I'm just giving you information. Okay. I don't have the answer for each individual because we're all different, right? The answer is internal to you. Okay. So it's about taking the information in, not taking it as gospel, taking it in as just what it is. If it's information, one of the expressions I really like is, as you take information in, if it sticks, there's something about it. If it just flows right through you, just let it keep going, right? But look for things that land, right? Because the best method is the one that works for you. That's the secret, okay? And my advice is, follow your heart, follow your instincts, follow what feels right. And that's probably going to be the one that's successful. And don't be afraid to use more than one. Combine them. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking Chantix if you don't have the side effects, and doing hypnotherapy, or reading one of the quit smoking books, or using an app, or whatever. That's the secret. The answer to the question of what is the best method is what works for you. Trust your own thinking, follow your own instincts, follow your own heart. If you have any questions, you want more information, the best thing is I'll put it in the show notes. Just go book yourself into a free 30-minute consultation. I'm happy to give free advice and talk to you directly about your particular issues. I'm happy to do that anytime. I try to fit in and accommodate as many people as possible. Sometimes it's not always possible just because I do all the work personally myself, because for me, it's not about money. It's actually about personal interaction between me and other people, and really just trying to help one person at a time quit smoking, right? That's all I'm really trying to do, is just impact one person at a time. Okay, so if you have questions, book yourself on the call, send me an email. Thank you so much for listening. Try my best to keep these videos to a more manageable time. My next video is going to be all about the cost of all the different quitting smoking methods and comparing those costs. Please watch my content. Please go to my YouTube channel and follow me there. I put all sorts of content on my YouTube channel that I don't necessarily put on my Facebook. Bless you, and thank you so much for listening. And enjoy and have a wonderful day.